There comes a moment in every person's life when they must pause and look in the mirror. Not to check how they appear to the world, but to understand how the world experiences them. Respect is not something we demand, it is something we inspire. And every day, through small attitudes and tiny choices, we either elevate our presence or quietly weaken it without even knowing. Today, I want to talk about 8 everyday attitudes that slowly, silently drain the respect people have for us. Not because we are bad people. Not because we don't care. But because we forget how much our energy speaks before our words do. The first attitude is constant complaining. When we lead with what's wrong instead of what's possible, we teach people to see us through a lens of limitation. Complaining won't fix anything. Action will. Second, there is defensiveness. When every piece of feedback feels like an attack, when every correction sparks a wall instead of a conversation, people stop trying to reach us. And distance replaces connection. The third attitude is inconsistency. When our yes doesn't mean yes, when we promise more than we deliver, when our words roam ahead, but our actions stay behind, people quietly step back. Not because they dislike us, but because they no longer feel safe relying on us. Fourth is interrupting. When we value our own voice so much that we silence someone else, we don't appear strong. We appear insecure. Listening is one of the purest forms of respect you can give another human being. Fifth is playing the victim. Life is hard. Life is unfair. But when we believe we have no power, we lose the power we actually have. People respect strength, not the absence of struggle, but the refusal to let struggle define us. Sixth, gossiping. If our conversations live on the failures and flaws of others, we carry a heaviness that dims our own character. People may laugh with us, but they do not trust us. Seventh, envy disguised as criticism. Sometimes someone else's success reminds us of where we wish we were. But tearing down their shine will never brighten our own. Celebrate others, and watch how deeply people begin to honor you. And finally, the eighth attitude is self-neglect. When we treat ourselves as an afterthought, our boundaries, our rest, our inner peace, people follow our example. If we do not respect ourselves, others struggle to respect us too. These 8 attitudes are small, but powerful. They are subtle, but impactful. And they are not permanent. The moment we become aware of them, we reclaim the ability to change them. Respect is not earned in one grand gesture. It's shaped in the gentle moments, the hidden habits, the quiet choices. And when we choose to show up with integrity, with presence, with compassion, and with truth, people don't just respect us. They are inspired by us. Respect grows from consistent behaviors, not spoken demands. This idea shapes how people see you, and how they decide whether to trust you or distance themselves. Respect is not something you force into existence with loud words or repeated reminders. It is something you build gently and steadily through the way you show up every single day. When your behavior aligns with your values, when your promises match your actions, when your energy reflects honesty, humility, and reliability, people begin to trust your presence because it feels grounded, predictable, and real. Consistency is not about perfection. It is about sincerity. It is about showing up in ways that match who you say you are. Every relationship, whether personal or professional, grows stronger through predictable patterns of integrity. If you say you will help someone, and you follow through again and again, they believe in your word. If you treat people with kindness not only when life is easy, but also when life is challenging, they learn that your kindness is not a performance but a value. If you maintain boundaries and stand by them with calm strength, people understand that you respect yourself, and therefore you respect them too. Consistency allows respect to flow naturally because no one has to guess who you will be tomorrow. They know. And that knowing creates a sense of safety. On the other hand, inconsistency weakens respect in ways that often go unnoticed until the damage becomes clear. When your words shift based on your mood, when your promises change based on convenience, when your reactions are unpredictable and driven by impulse rather than intention, People begin to doubt the stability of your character. They may still like you. They may still care for you, but respect quietly slips away because uncertainty replaces trust. That uncertainty makes people step back emotionally because no one feels secure around unstable behavior. Consistency is powerful because it builds emotional credibility. People believe you not because you speak loudly but because your actions have proven your reliability over time. Your behavior becomes a living example of your truth. And that truth makes people naturally respect you without needing reminders or explanations. Respect that comes from consistency stays longer and grows deeper because it is rooted in lived experience rather than temporary impressions. To embody consistency, you must first understand what you value most. Do you value honesty? Then allow your words and decisions to reflect honesty even when it feels uncomfortable. Do you value compassion? Then extend compassion not only to those who please you, but also to those who challenge you. Do you value loyalty? Then demonstrate loyalty with actions that support your relationships, even when life becomes demanding. Whatever you believe in must be visible in the way you move through the world, if you want people to believe in you too. Consistency also requires discipline. It requires pausing before reacting. It requires remembering your principles when frustration rises. It requires choosing long-term respect over short-term emotion. And most importantly, it requires self-awareness. When you understand your triggers, your strengths, your weaknesses, your patterns, you gain the power to align your behavior with the person you strive to be rather than the person your impulses try to create. Respect does not flourish from occasional good deeds. It flourishes from repeated actions that mirror integrity. When you build your days on reliability, when you keep your commitments, when you treat people with steady dignity, they feel safe in your presence. And safety is one of the deepest foundations of respect. Consistent behavior becomes your character. Your character becomes your reputation. And your reputation becomes the quiet power that makes people respect you without you ever needing to ask for it. Constant complaining drains your power, and action restores it. Many people do not realize how easily complaining becomes a habit. It starts small. A sigh here, a negative comment there, a moment of frustration spoken without thinking. Over time it becomes a pattern that begins to shape your energy, your relationships, and the way people perceive you. When you complain frequently, you begin to convince yourself and the world around you that everything is a problem and nothing is within your control. This mindset creates heaviness. It makes others feel tired in your presence, even if they care about you deeply. People begin to associate you with difficulty rather than strength, and respect quietly fades because you appear overwhelmed by life rather than engaged with it. Complaining does not mean you are weak or ungrateful. It simply means you have forgotten where your power truly lies. Every complaint focuses on what is wrong, and every action focuses on what is possible. When you shift from complaining to taking action, even a small action, you send a powerful message to yourself and to everyone around you that you are not defined by circumstances. You are shaped by decisions. Complaints drain the energy that could be fueling your progress. Action restores that energy by reminding you that solutions are within reach. People respect those who choose solutions over problems. They admire individuals who acknowledge pain, disappointment, or struggle but refuse to stay stuck in the story of what went wrong. When you take responsibility for your experiences, even when things are unfair, you rise above the limitations of your situation. This does not mean pretending everything is perfect. It means refusing to give your power away to negativity. It means saying to yourself that you cannot always control what happens, but you can always control how you respond. Complaining creates emotional noise that drowns out clarity. It makes you focus on obstacles until you begin to believe they are bigger than they truly are. When you take action, you quiet that noise. You begin to see choices where there once seemed to be none. You start noticing opportunities. You begin to feel capable again, and that shift in your mindset becomes visible to others. People notice when your energy changes. They notice when you stop repeating the same frustrations and start creating new outcomes. Respect grows naturally from this transformation, because respect always follows empowerment. Action does not have to be dramatic or large. It can be as simple as making a list, reaching out for help, setting a boundary, learning a new skill, or adjusting your attitude. Every small step reinforces your sense of control. Every step tells your mind that you are moving forward. And when you move forward consistently, you no longer need to complain because you are too busy changing what you once complained about. This is where true strength lives. Not in silence. Not in ignoring your challenges, but in facing them with determination and refusing to let them define your identity. People respect those who work with what they have rather than lamenting what they lack. They respect those who transform frustration into movement. They respect those who choose growth over stagnation. When you make this choice again and again, your presence becomes inspiring. Your words carry more weight. Your energy becomes lighter. People begin to see you as someone who leads with purpose rather than negativity. And you begin to see yourself as someone who is capable of building the life you want, one action at a time. Listening deeply builds trust more than speaking loudly. In a world where everyone is eager to be heard, the power of listening is often forgotten. Many people believe that respect comes from dominating conversations, expressing strong opinions, or proving their intelligence through constant talking. But genuine respect rarely grows from noise. It grows from presence. It grows from the quiet strength of someone who listens with intention, patience, and sincerity. When you listen deeply, you make people feel seen. When you make people feel seen, you make them feel valued. And people naturally respect those who value them. Listening is not just waiting for your turn to talk. It is the act of opening your mind and setting aside your ego long enough to truly understand what someone is trying to communicate. It requires you to step outside your assumptions and pay attention not only to words but also to emotions, tone, hesitations, pain, joy, fear. When you practice this level of presence, people experience you as someone who cares, someone who wants to connect, someone who does not judge but seeks to understand. Trust grows in moments where people feel safe expressing themselves, and deep listening is the foundation of that safety. Speaking loudly may grab attention for a moment, but it rarely builds lasting trust. People eventually tune out the voice that demands space, but never offers space in return. They might listen out of politeness. They might listen out of habit. But they do not feel bonded. They do not feel close. They do not feel respected. And because they do not feel respected, they do not offer respect back. Deep listening, however, creates a cycle of mutual respect. When you listen, others naturally want to listen to you. When you give space, others want to hear your voice. Listening makes your words matter more, because people know you do not speak without understanding the room. Listening deeply also teaches you about yourself. When you listen without defensiveness, you learn how others experience you. You learn where you need to grow. You learn how your actions impact people. Many conflicts would disappear if people listened instead of reacted. Many relationships would heal if people heard the truth beneath the words. Listening allows you to pause long enough to choose wisdom over impulse. It gives you the emotional distance needed to respond with clarity instead of anger. And people respect those who respond with clarity. They see emotional maturity. They see self-control. They see someone who chooses peace rather than chaos. Trust is built brick by brick through moments where people feel heard. Every time you give your full attention, you place another brick. Every time you listen without interrupting, you place another brick. Every time you acknowledge someone's feelings even when you disagree, you place another brick. Over time, these bricks form a foundation strong enough to hold meaningful relationships. Once trust is built, communication flows more easily. Misunderstandings decrease. People open up more quickly, and respect becomes a natural part of the relationship rather than something that must be earned repeatedly. Deep listening requires patience. It requires humility. It requires maturity. But it also gives back more than it asks for. When you become known as someone who listens deeply, people gravitate toward you. They feel comfortable in your presence. They confide in you. They appreciate your ability to make them feel understood. And when it is your turn to speak, they listen with genuine interest, because they know your words come from a place of knowledge, empathy, and awareness. Speaking loudly may demand attention, but listening deeply earns it. And attention that is earned is far more powerful than attention that is forced. Listening is one of the most profound forms of respect. When you offer it consistently, you strengthen every connection in your life. You build bridges instead of walls. You create harmony instead of conflict, and you show the world that the quiet power of understanding is stronger than the loudest voice in the room. Accountability is more admirable than excuses. This truth defines the difference between people who earn respect effortlessly and those who constantly struggle to gain it. Accountability means owning your actions, your decisions, and the outcomes that follow. It shows maturity, strength, and character. When you accept responsibility instead of searching for someone to blame, you demonstrate emotional integrity, and emotional integrity is one of the most powerful qualities a person can have. Excuses may protect your ego temporarily, but they weaken your credibility in the long run. Accountability may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it strengthens your reputation for a lifetime. When people make excuses, they send a message that they cannot be trusted to handle difficulty. They show that when things go wrong, their priority is to protect their image, not to solve the problem. This creates distance. People begin to hesitate before relying on you because they fear being blamed or disappointed. They sense that your words are not backed by responsibility. They see inconsistency between what you promise and what you deliver. And this quiet gap between intention and action erodes respect piece by piece. On the other hand, accountability shows courage. It tells people that you are willing to face discomfort to make things right. When you admit you made a mistake, you show that your character is stronger than your ego. People admire someone who can say I was wrong. They admire someone who can say I should have done better. They admire someone who takes ownership instead of hiding behind excuses. These moments reveal your humanity in the best way. They show you are willing to grow. They show you are committed to improvement. They show that you value honesty more than pride. Accountability also builds deeper connections. It allows people to trust your presence because they know you will handle challenges with maturity instead of defensiveness. Relationships thrive when both sides feel safe expressing concerns without triggering arguments. Work environments become healthier when people take responsibility instead of shifting blame. Families grow closer when each person is willing to acknowledge their shortcomings and do better. Accountability does not weaken relationships. It strengthens them by creating a foundation of honesty and reliability. Taking responsibility also transforms your relationship with yourself. When you stop making excuses, you stop staying stuck. Excuses keep you in the same place because they convince you that nothing is your fault, and therefore nothing can change. Accountability opens the door to growth. It empowers you to identify what went wrong and how to fix it. It helps you learn from your experiences. It helps you develop discipline. It helps you become more aware of your patterns. Without accountability, progress is impossible. With accountability, progress becomes natural. Stepping into accountability requires humility. It requires the willingness to see yourself clearly. It requires the maturity to recognize that mistakes do not define you, but avoiding them might. When you take responsibility, you take control. You reclaim your power from circumstances. You choose growth over comfort. And this level of self-ownership inspires others. People respect those who choose truth even when it is uncomfortable. They respect those who face challenges head-on. They respect those who demonstrate consistent inner strength. Excuses may seem like a quick escape, but they come with long-term consequences. They damage trust, they weaken relationships, They limit personal growth. Accountability, however, builds a legacy of respect. It creates stability. It fosters confidence. It shows the world that your character is dependable even under pressure. And when people trust your character, they naturally respect your presence. Responsible actions turn into reliable habits. Reliable habits turn into a strong reputation. And a strong reputation becomes the reason people admire you, believe in you, and look up to you without you having to say a single word. People respect emotional maturity, not emotional reactions. Emotional maturity is the quiet strength that allows you to stay centered even when situations are chaotic, disappointing, or overwhelming. It shows that you are not controlled by impulses, fears, or sudden feelings but guided by wisdom, awareness, and self-control. Emotional reactions are loud and immediate. Emotional maturity is calm and intentional, and people naturally respect the person who can remain steady when everyone else is losing balance. Emotional reactions often come from unresolved stress. They come from insecurity. They come from the need to defend your ego. When something upsets you, the instinctive response is to lash out, shut down, blame someone, or create conflict. These reactions may feel justified in the moment, but they usually create regret. They push people away. They make communication harder. They weaken your presence because they show that your emotions have more control over you than you have over them. People feel unsafe around unpredictable reactions because they never know what might trigger an explosion or withdrawal. This lack of stability quietly erodes respect. Emotional maturity, however, communicates strength. When you can pause before speaking, breathe before reacting, and think before responding, you show that you value understanding over impulse. You show that your goal is not to win the moment, but to protect the relationship, the conversation, and your own peace. People trust you more because they know you are thoughtful and measured. They know you will not weaponize your emotions. They know you will not blame them for your frustration. They know that even when you are hurt or overwhelmed, you will choose patience and clarity rather than chaos. Emotional maturity does not mean you suppress your feelings. It means you understand them. You recognize them. You allow yourself to feel them without letting them control your behavior. You can say you are upset without attacking anyone. You can express disappointment without shaming others. You can share your boundaries without creating drama. This ability to communicate honestly and calmly makes people feel respected, and they naturally return that respect to you. People admire those who do not crumble under pressure. When you stay present and composed during challenges, you show resilience. You show inner stability. You show that you can be trusted in crisis. This kind of strength is rare, and it stands out. People feel safe leaning on you because your emotional state is not unpredictable. They know they can come to you with honesty. They know you will not overact. They know you will listen and respond with thoughtfulness instead of intensity. Emotional maturity also requires self-reflection. You must be willing to look at your triggers, your patterns, and the deeper reasons behind your reactions. You must be willing to ask yourself why certain situations affect you so strongly. You must be willing to heal the parts of yourself that create insecurity, jealousy, fear, or anger. When you take responsibility for your inner world, you stop projecting your pain onto others. You stop allowing minor inconveniences to become major conflicts. You stop expecting people to fix what you have not examined within yourself. This self-awareness transforms your relationships. Conversations become kinder. Disagreements become easier to navigate. Trust becomes deeper. People appreciate your ability to remain grounded. They admire the way you handle difficulty without causing harm. They see that you protect peace rather than threaten it. Emotional maturity does not mean you never feel intense emotions. It means you respond to them with intention rather than impulse. When you consistently demonstrate emotional maturity, your presence becomes powerful. People look at you as a leader. They come to you for guidance. They see you as someone who brings stability into every room. Respect grows naturally around calm energy because calm energy feels safe, wise, and reliable. Emotional reactions may create noise, but emotional maturity creates influence, and influence earned through self-control becomes a lasting source of respect that strengthens every part of your life. In the end, respect is not built in grand moments. It is shaped in the quiet choices we make every single day. Every attitude we carry, every word we speak, every action we repeat, these small behaviors become the story the world tells about us, and they become the energy people feel when we walk into a room. When we choose awareness over habit, responsibility over excuses, understanding over reaction, and growth over comfort, we reclaim the power to shape how others experience us. Respect is not something we chase. It is something we attract by living with intention. It is created through consistency, strengthened through humility, deepened through listening, and preserved through emotional maturity. The attitudes that make people lose respect for us are subtle, but the transformation that restores respect is powerful. Because the moment we decide to change, the moment we choose to rise above our patterns, we step into a higher version of ourselves. Your presence can be a source of strength. Your character can be a source of trust. Your habits can be a source of inspiration. And when you begin to show up as the person you were always capable of becoming, you won't need to ask for respect. It will follow you naturally. It will grow around you effortlessly, and it will reflect the truth of who you are becoming every day.